Welcome to the thematic session I, and our topic is human relationships, technology, and inclusion. Here we are with Mr. Lobsang from Jhamtse Children's Community. He will talk about how we can build an inclusive world by understanding the role of human relationships and technology in education. After Lobsang's presentation, Alvaro, who is the lead volunteer from Action for Education, and I, Yuki, will continue the session by introducing the education opportunities for refugee youth in Chios, Greece. I volunteered in Action for Education last summer, and I'm here as the moderator and presenter of this session. We regret to inform you that Matthias, who was supposed to present today for Action for Education, couldn't join us due to his family emergency. We hope that it would not happen, but in case Lobsang's internet connection gets bad, please come to the Zoom link that you can find in the Padlet there that I just put in the chat link. So in the chat, you can see the Padlet link, and then if you click, then you can see the, if you can click, you can see the Padlet wallpaper, and then in the wallpaper, you can see the backup Zoom link. I will just briefly share the screen to show you. So here you can see the backup Zoom link, which you can join us later if Lobsang's Zoom link has problem. And then you can also find our contact information. And because our session is quite packed, maybe we may not have enough time to discuss over what we are going to say. So you can leave any thoughts, feelings, or questions to us. And even after the session, we will be able to contact you and talk about your thoughts and questions. You can also find more information on the right-hand side, and there you can find Facebook, Instagram, and movie link for Jhamtse and Action for Education. So in any case, please remember the Padlet. I strongly encourage you to click the Padlet right now. And now let us begin. Lobsang, are you ready?
Yes, Yuki.
Okay, I will stop sharing the screen so that you can share the PowerPoint if you have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yuki. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. Truly honored to be part of this conference. And as Yuki explained, so you know, I'm a little bit concerned about my internet connectivity. I'm in a very remote place in India, northeastern part of India, also using Bhutan network. So I'm very interdependent. So I would like to you know, show a little bit about where I am right now, so that will help our audience to understand where I'm speaking from. Give me a second.
I'm really sorry, but please remember that this session is being recorded, and please remember to mute your microphone. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to show you where I'm located. We are in a very remote place, northeastern part of India, bordering with Tibet and Bhutan. And let me show you a little bit. So this is too fast. So you could see Bhutan here, and in the south there is a Bhutan, and in the north of Jhamtse is Tibet. So you could see here. So we are basically in the middle of nowhere. You know, it's an hour and a half drive to Tibet, and maybe approximately 45 minutes walk to Bhutan. So we are in the middle of nowhere. So can I close this? Sorry for my technology. So the inclusion and human relationship is very important for us, and now with the help of technology. So in our state, northeastern part of India, the state called Arunachal Pradesh is a totally a tribal state. We have around 26 major tribes and over 100 sub-tribes. So this is a state of tribal people. The Mopa tribe is a very small tribe where I belong. And when we hear inclusion, and sometimes it scares me, you know, what inclusion means. Because what we know in this remote place, and especially when you belongs to the tribal community, inclusion often means very much like colonization. For example, education we are talking about. Yes, we do have a national curriculum, but often our national curriculum doesn't make so much sense to us because our curriculums are often very irrelevant to our children. You know, for example, like very simple things like, you know, our curriculum talks about the train, our curriculum talks about modern communication, and often they really don't make any sense to us. And when national education curriculum, when they introduced to this kind of remote village, and people do compromise a lot, you know, often we learn things doesn't make any sense to us. And so inclusion is often really confusing. Yet I do see the importance of the inclusive education, how necessary it is. So I have some experience I again would like to share with you. Like we started Jhamtse Children's Community in 2006 with the intention to again help educate the tribal children of this region especially. But often even I'm from this place, we struggle. You know, what we are providing them is something really useful, doesn't make any sense for them. You know, whether this is helping them or sometimes this education system is making them more handicapped. You know, so I would like to share couple of photos to start my talk. Be patient with me. Okay. So, I'm sharing. Yeah. Okay. You see this photo. This dad and young daughter, they live in a very remote village.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
drive from
but the photograph is not showing. There, now it is.
Okay, sorry. That's not my fault, that's internet. So this photo is from very, very remote village near Tibet border. I took this photo during actually 2009. When we went to visit this village and we got stuck there, you know, suddenly the snow came and we were stuck there for 21 days and there's nothing to do. And when I was exploring that village and people who live there, these are nomads, you know, exploring their life. And this village has no school. Of course, none of these people from this village were educated and they never seen a school. And with that, my intention to change the world and always this intention to, okay, we know better and we will help you to get your life better. So I went to approach this young dad and I asked how many children you have. So he has 7 daughters. So this one is the youngest one. So I asked him, you know, why don't you send your daughter to school, Jhamtse Children's Community? And he was very reluctant. So I tried 3 times. And the 3rd time when I tried, so he literally wanted to punch me. And he said, do not try this again. You know, do not try this again to educate my children and educate us. So basically we got engaged in a conversation. You know, it was long conversation, but story here is, he said, why education? Why modern education? So I don't know honestly how to answer this. But I said, better life. Then he asked me, what is better life? And honestly, I'm still looking for the question. I'm still looking for what is better life. Do we have, if we have a modern education to really have a better life? Then he told me, I have a happy family. I have enough food to eat, and we all live together very happily. So what is a better life? You tell me. What is a better life? You tell me. And then he asked me another question is, can your education better our life quality without compromising our traditional values? But this was a very important question to me, and still today. Even Jhamtse Children's Community, we are providing modern quality, modern education to say, so many children. But I'm still struggling to answer this question. Am I really helping to better the life qualities of these tribal children without compromising their traditional values and their traditional skills and their traditional principles? So this is a question that I got from this dad, and as I said, I'm still struggling to answer this. And we anyway, so we got 3 kids from this village. So finally, the village had decided. He came with us, and then he decided to send 3 children from his village to Jhamtse Children's Community, and all 3 of them are with us today. In a couple of years, they will be ready to the university. So this is the present situation of these children from this nomadic family. Okay, sure, let's stop this now. I'll go back to. And then, when you're from tribal, a small community like Mompa tribal community, the inclusion is sometimes, I would say, is a lifelong dream. You always wanted people to accept you. You always wanted to fit into, whatever the rest of the world is doing, whatever the rest of the country is doing. But often when we try to do that, we do compromise a lot of amazing traditional values. We lose so many things which are very important to us. So my point, I do not have answer to anything to answer today, but I think I came with more questions to this conference, and my focus is to share these questions with everybody. Maybe, although I don't have an answer, maybe it will help us to think as educated people, I guess, to as we move forward, as we try to educate the rest of the world in what kind of education we were talking about. Inclusion, as I said, often it feels like colonization. Often it feels like it means that we have to compromise a lot, the modern education when it comes to, and often it handicaps the individual, the indigenous people. Often the modern education is purely focusing to live a more urbanized life, the more city life. And when we do that, the inclusion in education, I feel it is very important for the educators and policymakers to understand what kind of inclusion in education we are talking about. Can we really go to the remote places, to the indigenous people, and focus on bettering their life quality without compromising their values and the skills which are very necessary for them to survive in their area? I think it is very important for us to think from that perspective. And if we cannot do that, I think simply going and thinking everybody should go to the university, everybody should become like us, is, I think, disservice to the people of the world. And it's, it really defeats the meaning of education. So you can see I'm really distracted to them. So let me. So what we try to do now here in Jhamtse Khalsa children community is how we can preserve the traditional values, traditional skills, the traditional skills and values, and while providing modern education, so we don't make them a handicap. And this is what we are trying to do. And I think here is, before we go to any places, is a very understanding the humans' needs, each and every community, tribal or wherever we go, understanding their needs, understanding what they exactly need is more important than what we want to provide to them. Otherwise, it again simply makes them a handicap to that. And we have over now 100 children in Jhamtse Khalsa Children's Community, and many of them are going to the college. And that's why the community that we built was, when they go to the college, so they learn everything from the farming, from the traditional arts and traditional skills. And even they go to the college, even they come back, they are not handicapped, and they are still the contributing a member of a local community. And to do this, and technology becomes even important for us, and every year we have just say maybe the 5 to 6, 7 children wanted to go to the university, and we are in one of the most remotest place, and without having again proper technology, and that is also one of the biggest challenge. It does make a handicap in another way that our children, and they wanted to go to university to become a doctor, they want to become an engineer, or they want to become an educator. But if you don't have a proper technology to prepare them for their further study, and then that also makes another challenge for our children to pursue their further education. So and I think it is sad if you look at a situation today, the 21st century, that we need to talk about the inclusion. We need to talk about the inclusion. I think this shouldn't be a big issue for that we have to put a lot of effort to achieve the inclusion. And as I said, if you're from this small community, you could always feel that, the necessity of the inclusion. And I think it is important to also understand that the cause of the exclusion, where it is coming from. And I think inclusion in education, if we really appreciate and accept everybody, diversity, and we appreciate that, and then we really don't need to separately put an effort to achieve that inclusion. And even our kindness are very exclusive towards our tribe or towards people like us, like-minded, and our love, our respect, and everything. And I think the education of inclusion is very important. And this has to be a separate topic to teach for young children from very early age in our schools. And this is the one thing that we have been doing to Jhamtse children's community. And I think it really helps even we live in a very remote village, that children from this very remote village, from tribal, and their worldview is very open. It's not very exclusive. They have a very broad-minded. And we were able to achieve through the technology, like, being remote, we have so many people connected to the world, people visiting here, but the technology is making our children to really connect and understand beyond our tribes, beyond our tribes. And one of the things what we do is teaching our children, we have 7 days of the week, which first one is interdependence. We're teaching them that, how important it is to understand and accept and respect diversity, different kinds of people, different race, different religion, different colors. So that first day, like Sunday, is Interdependence Day. I think when we teach them kids to understand the human through a human relationship, and I think as they grow, and they will, we don't have these, what do you call, the very exclusive mindset. And these were truly taught difference, how different we are. And from the very young age, sometimes intentionally, maybe sometimes subconsciously, how different we are, our colors and race and religions. And that is, I think, the main cause of dividing our world in general. So through human relationship and technology, if today that we can build a stronger relationship with each other, between the community, and through that way, through the help of technology, I think the real inclusion is really understanding and not making everything the same, but really accepting and respecting the diversity and also understanding their needs. And as we go out to the world, helping people, the poor people or the tribals or indigenous people, so our education should not compromise their traditional values and their traditional values and skills, which are very necessary for them to survive. So I think this is the only point that I want to share. Maybe if if somebody has a question, maybe I could answer, try to answer.
I have a question. So as a teacher myself, I also wondered whether I should educate my students to aim at to have a good job in society, or should I more focus on their inner value, even though their math or English score is not that good? So thank you for your meaningful talk. And it will be nice to hear for example, the examples of your practices to respect the diversity in your school. How do you make or encourage students to respect others or accept others' diversity? Can you share?
Sure, Yuki. Thank you so much. I think, Yuki, this both can go together. As we prepare our children to become successful and achieve, get a good job, but I think we don't have to ignore becoming good human being. I think especially when a young age, if we actually support them to become a good human being, and then after when they become a doctor, and they will be a very good doctor, for example, without being good human being, and you could never become a good doctor. And that's why I think important is how we can focus first on human being, and then second, the academic can help them to become human, how they can become efficient in human doing. I think we really need to teach this for our modern world. If you look at the current problem that we are facing, just think of any three biggest crises of our current human world. All are created by educated people, all were created by educated mind. Those are problems created by the humans. Reason is we focus so much on human doing. We ignore the human being. And today the human beings have become the biggest threat to even the existence, even the survival of our planet. But where went wrong is, I think, education, modern education is one prime factor. You know, think about the environment, global warming, poverty, violence. So I think this could go together. You know, could go together. I think this both can go. I think kind mind and smart brain can go together. So what is lacking today is the modern education. Is that part. Yes, Yuki. Is there any more question?
Yeah, Ala, I think you can use your microphone to ask. Or do you want me to ask and deliver your comment to Lobsang?
Lobsang, this is BZ Benson in the US, and I've been privileged to visit Jhamtse many times. I wondered whether you would like to talk about some of the cultural practices that are so particularly Mampa, so valuable in ways that people relate to each other and care for each other and help each other and care for the environment. I think there's some very special Mampa customs that are important.
Thank you, Busy. Thank you, Busy. Yes, I would love to. So the Mompa, as I say, is a very small tribal community, maybe one of the smallest, tribe in Arunachal Pradesh, and we're very remote. But in Mompa society, we never had a homeless. And we never have a beggar, which as a country in India, is a very common, when you visit to the India, that you will see beggars everywhere, very annoying. And homeless is another common challenges we face as a country. But even Mompa are a very small tribe in one of the very remotest part of the country that we reside, and we don't have a beggars and we don't have a homeless. Now, what I actually noticing in our region is also in the last 15 to 20 years, now the poverty is somehow increasing in our society. See, what I call this is a poverty of capitalism. This is a poverty of the modern civilization, the modern society of the Mompa, See that right now, the poverty in general in the world, and we know we can solve it if we have a political will, if we have the accountable administration, responsible and support to citizens. It's so easy to solve poverty. Poverty should not be the problem. There is enough things for the world. But this poverty in general, we're not going to solve, because this is the intentional, the intentionally created poverty. If this is a real poverty, we can solve it. Now, what I see in our society now is we are now actually entering into that general society, and this poverty will never able to solve. Now, how this small community, we never had a poor people. We never had a poor in the sense, you know, every member people have a house, people have food to eat. We have no beggar, no homeless people. How did we sustain in a way? And how did we live such a good life, I would say, you know, relatively, is that we have a one practice called in our Mompo tribe is called a lakpa. You know, it literally means lak means hands. Also lak also means meeting hands. One way of explaining is, you know, I have a two hands and you have a two hands. If our hands meet, we can create something wonderful for everybody. I cannot do by myself, but if you come and join your hands with me, we can create something for you and something for me and something for other people. And that is the whole meaning of the lakpa. So how we practice is in Mompo community, for example, if I want to get married and I want to you know, live separately with my family, then whole village will come together. And my neighbor will say, okay, I know how to build a house and I'll build for you. And another neighbor will say, I don't know how to build, but I have a rock, I have a clay, I can give you. And then other families say, well, I don't know anything to build or I don't have anything to offer, but I can cook for the whole villages while they're building a house for you, you know. And that way, this traditional, the skills, how we exchange each other, and how we support to each other, that is an amazing human relationship. If we understand the human relationship, the importance of the human relationship, the importance, our survival is based on human relationship. And, you know, I see this could solve the world's biggest problem. And it is not difficult to practice. The thing is, I think we do not have a political will, or we do not have a will to really solve the problem we are facing today. You know, somehow I think, you know, people want this problem to continue. So this is a Mompo practice. That's why in the Jhamtse we have now a separate a program for lakpa. So we really want to preserve this. We want to preserve this. And we want our children to learn these skills, and we want our children to support each other and support their community. So we never have to become homeless. We never have to beg. So I think nobody has to beg. I think there's enough food. Nobody has to beg in this world, but we have like endless beggars. Nobody has to become homeless, but we have countless homeless people in this world. So these are what I see is, you know, how can we teach these values? How can we teach these indigenous values or practices?
We cannot hear you, Allah.
We still cannot hear you, Allah. Sorry.
If I can ask a question now, so because you cannot hear Allah now, so actually I'm so appreciate to hear that Lobsang talk about that we shouldn't just try to give the education to everybody like what we think is good for them. Maybe we should really understand what they want. But my question is like that. For example, when you are talking about those nomads like life, that father is thinking that they are living very happy life. But how about that 7 children? do they also feel that they are happy to just live the traditional life like that one, or will the father really give them a chance, maybe a choice, that maybe they want to live a little bit different life? Of course, if the children, they want to continue the traditional like a ski life, that would be very good. We should respect that one. And I'm sure they would live very happy life like that one too. But maybe some other children, they just don't even know that there are some other choices. They could live a different life. So how can we like solve this kind of problem? So that is something I feel really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That's a great question. Honestly, I don't know how his children feel about that. That's definitely a great question. And what I could share is that you know, I showed you this the photos of 3 kids that who are right now at Jhamtse Children's Community. The one of the boy, let me share this one more time so we can connect more. So you can see that photo. So his name is Sanjay. You know, Sanjay's parent decided to send him to, when he was very young, to Jhamtse Children's Community, and he's still with us. And in last, I think, few years ago, that we realized that the academic is not his strength, and he is not really even interested in going to the college and learning, you know, more, preparing him go to the university. And now he is learning carpentry. You know, he's learning a carpentry, and he seems he's enjoying to learn carpentry. But his parents, he's from Nepal. His parents are from Nepal, and both of his parents now passed away. They were a labor in road construction. Of course, they, you know, he definitely, he has a young, older sister who lives in another place, and she visited them. And when she visited here, we even asked Sanjay, would you like to go and join, you know, stay with your older sister and do what she is doing? She is a road builder. And Sanjay said, no, I don't want to go back and what you call to become a road builder, which is his parents were doing that. But he definitely seems that enjoying to become a carpenter. And you know, he said, I would love to become a carpenter in few years so I can live my life. And again, you know, this question is honestly, that's a good question. You know, yes, dad is saying, you know, we have a good life, but you know, it truly is definitely, if you ask to the children, and they might have definitely a different preference, and they might want to go to the schools and colleges. But honestly, that's a good question. I would say I don't know the right answer for that.
Thank you so much. So I would be really like how do you say, eager to know the children's answer, actually, if it's possible. If you can still like maybe contact with them later, maybe you can ask how do they feel or something like that one, if you can give us still some consequence answer of that one, because it's not like every of us would have this kind of chance to really get in touch with those people like you had. So thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay,
yes,
sorry.
Yes.
So my name is Ale. I am a master's student in educational sciences in Jyväskylä, first year. I'm from Egypt. I'm still in Egypt. I just wanted to comment on your speeches. It was very insightful for me, because here in Egypt, we have people living in a very rural area, and other people keep telling them their children, okay, you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a teacher, but no one tells them, okay, you can be educated like to be a good farmer, as they have land and they farm there, or maybe they can be educated to make to irrigate, make good irrigation systems with saving water and this. So yeah, so this speech was very insightful for me, and I found it will be very useful for them if people tell them that, okay, you can be educated to be more skillful in what you are skilled at. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think, Ali, I just want to comment. I think that's very important. I think we face this, but I don't know the rest of the education system in all over the country, but I have some little experience about what the current education system is like. Even as we are talking about the inclusion in education, my question to that is there enough inclusion in our inclusive education? Or we are just very being selective about that. The general education system is what you see is we glorify and we celebrate the exceptionals and extraordinaries, which maybe is not wrong to say. We emphasize on only a left brain, only that part, and we celebrate it, and we celebrate it. For example, in one classroom in our education system, in one classroom, if you have 100 children in one class, and only maybe the 5 or less than 5% of the children can really achieve what we expected them to achieve. And we celebrate and we glorify only the 5%. And what happens to the 95% of the children? So what I think is the farming in Jhamtse children's community, farming is one of the very important practice in our community. And we equally emphasize, children to become a farmer, children to become a farmer, good farmer, happy farmer, successful farmer. But I think it is important for educators to now think about how we can celebrate these ordinaries, how we can celebrate these essentials. Maybe we call it ordinaries, but can we celebrate when children when they grow something, can we celebrate that? Can we, can we celebrate them being a farmer? I think these are, I feel, very important, because we all know, if we're educated, we know that, out of 100 children, only maybe the 5% or maybe less than 5%, 3% of these children will what we call exceptionals or extraordinary. And how come we forget the rest of the 98% of the children? Are we doing service being educator, or are we being disservice? A service to the only 3% and disservice to the 98% something. So this is, I think, when inclusion in education is very important, and we need to think more holistic. We need to think that, beyond that. So that is something, even I'm very disorganized. I'm very excited of being part of this. My thoughts are just very disorganized. That strangely, we just had the Secretary of Education of State, very unexpected visit today, just half an hour before this conference. So I'm more confused and disorganized because of that also, but honored to be part of this.
I totally understand all what you are saying now, and I totally agree with you very much that we should also celebrate those who are doing other things that maybe it's very, very valuable for them and also for the community, because we eat from what they are growing. So it's important for us, but they are ignored. So we should not ignore other, like these, or carpenters, or any other workers who the community is very, what they do is very useful for the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lobsang, and thank you everyone for commenting.